Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, Pat Chat Edition. I'm Violet.
And I'm Pat.
Today we're talking about Keto 2.0. Where did this idea come from, Patrick?
But I saw a bunch of article talking about the rise of Keto 2.0, or from what I could see, it's very similar to the Mediterranean keto. So why do keto in the first place?
Okay, are you asking me
Yeah.
Well, most people start off doing keto for two basic reasons. Either a want to lose weight, or they might start off doing keto because they have some kind of metabolic issue that they're trying to solve. We suggest to people to do keto because it's a healthier way to live your life, right? By not poisoning yourself all the time with sugar, you end up living a more healthy situation and your body functions better.
So very shortly, what is keto? If we do a refresh about the basic keto rules, oftentimes I see it's a high fat, moderate protein, low carb diet. Is it really?
Okay, so this is another thing. So I feel like Keto 2.0 is coming about as a way to correct the misperceptions that people actually do have about what keto is in the first place. So what is keto? It's taking the grams of carbs you eat down under 20. So in my day, if I eat 20 grams of carbs or less, I'm doing a ketogenic way of eating. And really, that's the basic. That's all you actually have to do. So obviously, if I'm eating less than 20 grams of carbs a day, I've just removed the major energy source that most people are using to fuel their day. So that would be the fuels that I was using. I have to then find fuel somewhere else. I think this is where people get the misperception that it's a high fat diet, because people make the assumption that because I was eating 300 grams of carbs, I need to eat some sort of equivalent in fat. But I think the thing that we forget is most of us have months worth of fat on us when we're at our healthy weight, and almost a year's worth of fat on us when we're overweight. Right? And so as I'm sitting here, as you're sitting here, we have months worth of fat on us. So do I really need to eat, I don't know, 170 to 200 grams of fat every day to make my however many calories worth of that would be? No, I don't. But this is where that misperception comes from. And the protein, which I've said so many times, is a pivot. So however much protein you were eating on the standard American diet, if you were not overeating your protein, you should keep eating on your keto diet.
But then what leads us to the topic today, we're talking about Keto 2.0. What could be wrong with Keto 1.0 or the keto that we know? That was my question when I read the article. If I can give you a hint, and maybe we can comment or discuss on that. Most of the articles that I found mention cardiologists becoming concerned with the keto diet as they know it, with high animal fat and high protein, and so.
So my answer to that is very simple. I think that part of the reason that, and I hate calling it Keto 1.0 because it's the same keto. I think part of the reason that they've tried to separate and make a version 1 versus version 2 goes back to where the ketogenic idea originally came from, which was helping epileptic children to manage their seizures. Obviously, when we regulate the amount of sugar that our body's intaking, the side benefit is it regulates the amount of sugar getting to our brain. And guess what happens when you're not overly exciting the brain of an epileptic with sugar? It stops giving them so many seizures. Now, the problem with that original diet is that it used artificial fats. So it used, canola oil, vegetable, all the stuff that all the doctors are actually telling us not to ingest. That's what they were feeding these children. So they had other issues, metabolic issues. Now, we're gonna take that idea. And I do believe that in keto, as they're calling it, keto version 1, we did better because we were using animal fats. So we were using lard, we were using bacon fat, we were using coconut oil, we're using real fats, animal and plant. But then some people took that to an extreme, right? Like wrapping every single meat you're going to eat in bacon is not necessary. Or wrapping every single whatever it is you're going to eat in bacon isn't necessary. So do I need to have fat in every single thing I eat? As I said at the beginning, I've got so much fat on me that I could actually fast for a week or even two, right? So it's not true that I need to eat all of that fat. Now, when I get to I don't want to go there yet. I don't want to go there yet. Let's stick on this topic. One of the reasons that I think that most doctors think that original keto, and I hate calling it that, is dangerous, is because they still believe that cholesterol is a problem. They still believe that eating fat is going to cause you to be fat. And they still believe that you're going to have heart problems by eating animal products, which the research doesn't play out. And people who switch to a ketogenic lifestyle, ourselves as good example, well, I'm keto, you're low carb, but we're good examples of how actually we have improved our health, not diminished it. So I think that's the other reason that doctors, cardiologists are so afraid of this, is because rather than look at the results and maybe push for new research, they're holding on to old, tarnished research. And I say tarnished because it was bad research, and like there's evidence for that. It was old, it was bad research that showed a result that wasn't reality.
Yeah. Well, you and me, I've watched how many channels with people doing a keto lifestyle that we actually would never do it like that. Where like people would have a pound of
ground beef,
yeah, with bacon on the side, or like 8 eggs with bacon on the side, and that's all they were eating. So I could almost agree with those concerns with people promoting that is the way how to do keto.
So again, I'm going to say that, see, okay, here where it becomes tricky is that those people are eating such high amounts of protein, and then they're still eating carbohydrates up to their 20. And I think that the real problem there is that you can actually push yourself over by overeating protein, right? Because your body only needs so much energy to get you to do everything you need to do in a day. So if I'm eating enough protein to fuel my day, but then I still eat my 20 grams of carbs, well, now I've just overeaten. And I think this is part of what people don't understand, is that it's still possible to overeat even if you're doing keto. Like, you need to pay attention to what this is part of the reason I say to people, like, go back to tracking every once in a while. Allow yourself to check, like, what's on my plate, and just make sure that I'm not overdoing any of the macronutrients, because overeating is overeating. And if you overeat, you're going to gain weight. But also, if you overeat, you're going to create the story where something needs to be put away, and possibly where the sugar, even if I'm eating a small amount of it, if I didn't need it at all because I ate enough protein to be converted to sugar, well, now there's a problem, right? I'm still creating a situation where now there's too much. So I really do think that we need to be aware of what we're eating. And like you're saying, with these channels where they're just, I'm trying to be very sensitive to the fact that there are some people who eat because it's fun and not to fuel their body. But when you see these examples where someone has a plate of, and it's like, you're looking at the amount of food on the plate and you're thinking to yourself, like, you're calling this keto, but it's a really excessive amount of food, regardless of what its composition is. I feel like what we have in that situation is an overweight person who feels like they found a way to eat excessively and thinking they're going to lose weight this way. And for a lot of those channels, what's the result that we see is actually they don't lose the weight, or they don't keep it off, because this habit of overeating is still there. And they might lose a bit, but then they start going right back up, because you can overeat on keto.
Although to me, eating a pound of ground beef with like a side of bacon is not a fun meal at all. But like, oh, that's just me.
Yeah, but we have to keep in mind, when we did see those things, that wasn't all that was on the plate either. There were still carbs on the plate. And that's the part that makes me nervous, right? Because you still have carbs there. And even though it's falling under 20, so this is where I come back to, like, really, to do keto, all you really do need to do is bring your grams of carbs down. But if you don't understand that the protein is a pivot, you can still make mistakes.
There's another point I saw in the article, and it was like the difficulty to follow a keto lifestyle confronted to like with the realities of modern life. You know,
Okay.
both parents in a household working, arriving late, preparing supper. To me, it was like almost a non-issue because like keto is so simple, but like the article was like trying to point out that keto was incompatible with like a modern lifestyle. When
Kind
you
of inconvenient,
yeah, yeah, and unsustainable. Like we already heard, like
unsustainable.
unsustainable and inconvenient. So
That's what makes me laugh. I actually feel like if your family is doing a keto lifestyle, it makes your life actually easier. And why I say that is this. Most of the time when you're going to be cooking for your family and you're going to be running late, most people, part of the reason that they end up having junk as a meal is because the things they haven't planned like far enough in advance of what they're going to eat. Where when you're doing keto, it's like so much simpler because it's a meat and a vegetable. You don't need to take 5 hours in the kitchen prepare, like it's a meat and a vegetable. I think one of our most complicated meals that Patrick makes takes about an hour, like
thanks. Yeah.
at the outside. So when I compare, like myself for example, back when I was eating standard American diet, really standard Caribbean diet, let's call it what it was, when I was eating that way, yes, those meals take longer to prepare. You got to soak the peas and blah blah blah, and like all this stuff. But at the end of the day, now if I'm in the kitchen more than 20 minutes making my meals, it's because I'm doing something fancy, right? Like on my regular everyday, it's a piece of meat that I'm either baking or frying, and a vegetable that I'm cooking somehow. And if I'm really feeling lazy, it's like olives and cheese or avocado and cheese. The truth is, and I have that often, I'm not the good example. I don't care about food. So I'm not the good example. But you need to consider that even on the days that I'm cooking a vegetable, how long does it take to cook a vegetable? Right? Compared to if you're making pasta and sauces and like that takes more time.
Unless like you're doing a standard American diet and you do like take out food, like you do take out 5 times a week, and then you want to go on a keto diet. That's probably what they call the realities of the modern life. But like still, even though like you're not doing keto, we encourage you to cook most of the time. At least know what you put in your food. But yeah, if you're doing takeouts all days a week for you and your family, that can prove a challenge
But can we
going to a
just
keto
be
lifestyle.
but can we just be realistic for 5 seconds? Because our households were super different. You like to cook. I can't stand cooking. Like if we're talking about how the week looked, every day you would cook for you and your boys. And every day Violet would go home and like heat something up because my daughter ate at my mom's. And I'm talking heat something up. I'm talking like when you're talking about fast food, like
Frozen.
frozen stuff, this, that. So the truth is we were both overweight, but for very different reasons. You were cooking. I was not. Right? So I can't even blame it on fast food. The truth is what they're talking about is this idea, and I think it's a fear mongering situation where they're trying to make it sound like it's so difficult to live a keto. It's not difficult to live a keto lifestyle. You're cooking some meat, you're cooking some vegetables, you're cooking some meat, you're making a salad. Like it's simple when you want it to be simple. And if you want it to be elaborate, you will make it elaborate, right? Like you're going to decide what you're doing, but it's not hard to do a keto lifestyle and like really make things that you love. The other thing that they don't talk about, your taste change. Can I be the first to say I hated avocado? Not disliked, hated avocado. Now I eat it like 3-4 times a week. Like how often would I eat a salad? Like in my history, like salad, like what? Like it's grass in my mind, right?
Side on the
Now, like if I'm having, I'm so excited for a salad. Your tastes change. So I feel like a lot of the time when we're listening to people who are talking about original keto, what they're really talking about is the misperception of people who haven't figured it out yet. Because the truth is, when you do search online keto, you don't always come up with my channel or Dr. Berg's channel or Dr. Barry or Dr. Westman or Dr. like the bunch of doctors that are giving good information. Oftentimes you come up with people who just started trying this diet, are losing a bunch of weight, but at the same time don't understand the diet. And because you will lose weight so quickly, like seriously, months, and you'll lose the weight. But will you keep it off if you don't understand what you're doing? And this is the thing that we figured out, is that you won't keep it off if you really don't know what you're doing. And this is why we see so many people struggling.
So you might get on and off the diet and back on and back off, and then finding it too hard because you didn't like do your research first, and
You didn't
so
commit.
You didn't commit. Okay.
And you didn't know what you were committing to. That's the other part. If you, like, again, going back to what they're saying, if you looked at this diet and thought, I love bacon, I love chicken, fried chicken. And if all you're seeing is like, oh, look at the deep fried stuff they're able to eat, and not really realizing that you're looking at someone who doesn't truly understand what they're aiming at, and they're not necessarily giving you good information, then you might walk into this diet thinking it's a diet, and thinking that I get to eat whatever I want, however much I want. That's not true. You don't get to eat however much you want.
Okay, so let's go into the rise of Keto 2.0. What are triggers that are pushing towards Keto 2.0? So the first one, need to make it more flexible and sustainable long term. Refining the diet to make it as healthy as possible, to make place for the amount, the quantity of new product, packaged goods that are showing on the shelves that people may want to buy to make their life easier. And I added like a next one that appeared a little bit further in the article. It was the lack of fiber. So need to make it more flexible enough and more sustainable.
So I do think, again, when you originally get information about keto, who are you getting it from? I think that the people that you see who are making channels where they're showing that all they're eating is ground beef and bacon are not getting their information from doctors. Because I know when I started keto, I had no imagination that what I would be eating was ground beef and bacon. The first person I found, I believe, was actually the first thing I found was an article talking about how sugar causes inflammation. But from that, what I found were a few doctors. I don't know which one was first, but Dr. Berry, Dr. Westman, and Dr. Berg were the first three, and Dr. Mason, and Dr. Fung. So these 5 doctors were my first sources of information, and none of these doctors tell you to eat a bunch of bacon and ground beef and butter and put butter in your coffee. And they talk about, yes, that's some people do that, but they're not proposing that that's the way to do keto as a long-term sustainable, like, so, and when they give you the reasons why you might put butter in your coffee, it's very specific situations. Like if I talk about myself, why do I put butter in my coffee and coconut oil? Because I'm trying not to lose weight. Right? I'm at goal. I want to stay here. I noticed when I just drink a regular coffee with cream, my weight starts going down. I don't want that, right? So I put a little bit of extra fat in my day to make sure that I don't go down too far. You need to understand why you're doing what you're doing to do it correctly.
So second point, again, assuming it's not healthy, because like what we just like said, like taking maybe the hypothesis that keto is just like a bacon wrapped, fried in butter, like with ground beef. So making it as healthy as possible. Like keto is not unhealthy.
I think that because I found Dr. Berg very early on, and anybody who wants to understand really like about doing something healthy, you should be looking towards the professionals. So myself, Dr. Berg, Dr. Berry, Dr. Westman, we're not telling you a fad. We're not telling you, and you know, for most of the people, most of the doctors talking about it, they don't really have a product. There are a few that have products. I'm not going to say they don't. But most of us are not trying to push a product on you. And even the ones who have products still tell you how to do it with food first. The reason that you want to look to the professionals first is because we are talking about what metabolic issue you're trying to solve. For us, we talk a lot about how to stay on track and the psychological pieces of the puzzle, right? And the truth is, I think that people get off track with keto because you come into it for the wrong reason. The idea of rapid weight loss with the ability to eat whatever you want, and it's not true. So if you come into keto thinking that this is like your usual typical diet, you're missing the boat. Keto is a way to improve your health long term. That's really what it is. Will you lose weight? Of course, if you improve your health, you're going to lose weight. You're going to go down to the weight your body wants to be healthily. But is that the reason to do keto? For some people, it starts off as the reason. For me, it started off as solving inflammation, right? For you, it started off
Solving high blood pressure.
high blood pressure, right?
And weight.
And
And then I'll have to admit, like, weight.
and
But-
interestingly, just because I'm going to say this, I really think that maybe it was like the reverse. Maybe you came into it with the weight because you saw how much weight I lost, and then happily your high blood pressure did go away.
But you for sure, like you went into keto with like a health goal. That's sure. And like seeing you, honestly, I think like seeing you doing it for a while, like seeing what you ate. First of all, like I'm the kind of person that is flexible, so like I didn't mind trying it, but it's not that bad. It wasn't that bad. Like once you get rid of like the usual dessert that you have or the usual snacks, it's a good diet.
And you know what's funny about that? How quickly, when you really do it, like not half do it, how quickly when you really do it, that you're able to put down the junk and just like realize like I'm not being pulled there. Like that's pretty cool. So many people, because they only half do it and they're still letting sugars in here, there, and wherever. And again, we watch the videos and we see the people and they're saying, oh, what's the big deal? I ate a cookie. What's the big deal is that you're still eating cookies a year and a half later. That's the big deal, right? And I think when you stop and realize that if I only do something halfway, I'm only going to have half results. And if I do it fully, I'll get the full results, right? And I feel like that's one of the things that when you did commit to doing it, you did it. And that made all the difference in the world. And I think for me, it's the same thing. I mean, my reasoning, the pain I was in, there was no way I was going to have to do it.
Okay, the third trigger, like to doing a Keto 2.0 was like the packaged good. Do we really need to make space for all those products and goods? Are they really making a keto life easier?
So for anybody doing any kind of diet, when you talk to your doctor and you would ask them, what's the most significant thing that I could do that would impact my health? They're going to tell you right away, cut out high sugary drinks and processed foods. If you want to make a huge impact on your health, that's where they're going to go. So the fact that they're taking keto, a clean, healthy diet, and throwing all these processed foods at us, this is not about your health. There isn't a keto product that's being made. Now at this point, I'm just saying, if it's processed, this is not about your health. It's about convenience. Now, that being said, are there some keto products for convenience that have better quality ingredients than others? Absolutely. And this is where you come down to, for me, I don't buy keto products. I buy food. The reason I don't buy keto products isn't because I'm telling you guys not to buy them. The reason I don't buy them is that I know I'm lazy. So why would I put in front of myself an out? If I could come home and just eat something that's already there than cook, Violet's going to do that. I know I'll do that. How do I know? I have 20 years experience of doing that. I don't put things in front of myself to make me make a mistake because my health is the number one important thing for me. Now, if we were going on a road trip or if we were in a situation where I knew I'm probably going to want to eat something and I won't have access, would I buy a little keto something, take it? Of course. And I have. I've bought keto bricks before. Because I knew there was a situation there that I would use it in. But do I keep buying keto bricks? No, because I was eating them, right? Why would I do that to myself? You need to understand that companies make foods because they want you to eat them and repurchase. So what's interesting to me is that these foods are going to taste a lot of the time like original products that got us fat, and these products are going to not always have the best ingredients. Like I said, when I do choose to buy stuff, and again, I can't even, in this past year, I have bought nothing keto. So just to tell you like where my focus is, I buy food. And I encourage you guys all to do the same. But if you're going to buy keto products, at least make sure that the ingredients are clean. Like you saw what we did a few weeks ago. We were going through the list and looking up anything. Like I said, like I hadn't seen the product, but if I was in the store, I would look up every one of those things before I purchase. Because why am I buying something or take a picture, go home, do my research, and if I feel like, okay, that's a clean product, I might have gone back and bought it the next time. So I don't think keto products are the
essential,
best reason to do Keto 2.0. I don't think that's the best reason. and those products were going to come no matter what, right? People need to make money.
And what about the lack of fiber? Finally, like the fourth, like that I trigger towards Keto 2.0.
I think when you watch Dr. Berg's videos, you realize that this idea of lack of fiber is only depending on how you've decided to do keto. So if you, rather than watching the professionals who talk about how to do keto in an appropriate, healthy way, if you've chosen to watch individuals who are either trying to sell you a product or just kind of showcasing their weight loss and look at what I'm still able to eat, if that's what you're watching, then you're going to be under the false impression that you get no fiber in a keto diet. That's first of all. But I think even more importantly, well, how do we explain all the people who do carnivore and are still able to go to the bathroom? Do you actually need fiber to go to the bathroom? And the truth is no, you don't, right? Otherwise all the carnivore people would be in trouble. The flip side of the coin is, do I get fiber in my diet? I get some. I don't get as much as I used to get. I know you get fiber in your diet. I don't know, maybe not as much as you used to get. It's a false idea.
In the end, what is actually Keto 2.0? What is in the end Keto 2.0, according to that article that I saw? Less fatty meat, more fish. First thing, replace meat, like the fatty pieces with the fatty cuts with fatty fish. You don't want your super lean white fish like you want trout, you want salmon. You want it a little bit more plant-based, so avocados, lettuce, good vegetables, nuts and seed. So there's room for plant-based food. Basically, that's it. That's really what's like pushing Keto 2.0. So basically, what's pushing more Keto 2.0 is eat less of the bacon wrapped in butter and fried in butter, and just do more vegetables, more salad, and more fish.
What's the reason they're giving for less red meat?
What we just talked about, like the cardiologist's concern, like with the high animal fat.
And the thing is, what's wrong with high animal fat? So my problem here is this: they're not given a reason why you shouldn't eat red meats. They're just saying don't eat them. Go for fatty fish. Why? What if I don't like fish? Then what?
Eat chicken. I don't know.
I think the thing that's interesting here is that they are presenting as if meat and fish, if you eat a fatty piece of fish, that you couldn't still do all the things that you were doing with a fatty piece of meat. You can still overeat a fatty piece of fish, right? Like, so I'm not really sure I understand the reasoning behind only, like, taking out only the meat. Now, the other thing that they said is, like, I mean, I like the vegetables that they named, so that's fine.
Yeah.
And I think every person needs to decide how much veg they're going to eat, and how much under 20 that you need to be. You're going to know by the way that you feel, and how quickly your metabolic issues get resolved, right? Some people need to be really low, like nearer to zero. I was pretty lucky. I was like able to be where I wanted to be. Like if I wanted to be close to 20 or I wanted to be close to 10, I was still losing. And I was still feeling good. I think that every person needs to figure themselves out. Interestingly enough, today I hover around 10, right? And not because I'm trying to lose. It's just where I hover. It's what I'm comfortable eating.
So in the end, what made me laugh about that article is that it's exactly that. Like we learned from Dr. Berg that from the beginning was telling eat your 7 to 10 or 11 cups of salad per day. And that's a big, gigantic salad. Eat your broccoli, eat your cauliflower, eat like all the lowest carb like vegetables. Like in that toolkit, what they call toolkit, they have olives, avocados. We've been doing that from the beginning.
Toolkit?
Yeah.
Are they selling something?
No, it's not. No, they call it toolkit, but it's what's in the Keto 2.0. The only thing I don't really agree with the article is like that, not urgency, but like they really push towards making space for packaged good all over the place, like to make your life simpler. But then again, like keto can be really, really, really simple if you want to make it simple.
But this might be a bid for making money, right? If they're pushing towards packaged goods, right, then of course now there's something to purchase. And like, I think that that's part of the problem when you look at some of the people talking about keto, is somewhere along the line they're showing you all the crazy that they're eating, but then whether it's some kind of something they're putting in their coffee or some kind of specialized shake they're taking, or like a lot of the time when you watch those videos from other YouTubers who are promoting this like dirty keto slash, like high fat keto. There's either some kind of MCT oil they want you to buy or some kind of product. And the truth is like, I don't need to buy a spot. I can go into the store and just pick up coconut oil. Why do I need to buy MCT oil? MCT oil is made from coconut oil. And like, there's so many things that if you actually take the time to understand what you're trying to accomplish, you wouldn't be.
So in the end, don't stress about Keto 2.0 or Mediterranean keto. If from the beginning you're eating your vegetables, if you have a good variety of meat, and I do like all kinds of meat. So I do have fish, I do have beef, I do have pork, I do have chicken, and sometimes I'm gonna like try even something new. Like you can make it varied and sustainable. Like there's plenty of veggies like out there if you don't react badly to them. There's plenty like you can put on your plate. You have your nuts, you have your seeds, you have your cheese, you have your high fat yogurt like I often talk about. So there's, I don't know, like there's no, for me it was like I did find the article interesting, but like in the end I was like, okay, yeah, this is not something new, it's just like something old trying to push it as new.
And why would they do that? Because they got products to sell.
Maybe.
Obviously, we're always trying to help you guys to not be fooled by food companies, pulled into situations where you're buying things you don't need to buy, or scared to do something that's going to be healthy for you so that the medical pharmaceutical companies can put their hooks into you. I mean, I actually know people that had surgeries for weight loss when changing your food wasn't even discussed with them. So we need to be careful because money's money, right? People go for money sometimes. Take care of yourselves and make sure that you're doing what's going to help you to be the healthiest you possibly can be. I want to thank you for watching Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, Pat Chat Edition. If you want to contribute to the production of videos, we have t-shirts, we have Patreon, we have Amazon links in the description below. Lots of ways that you can contribute to make sure that these videos keep coming out, giving you good information. Love talking to you guys. Can't wait to talk to you again next week.
Talk to you next week.